My son is a tween, and his father has never met him. We had gone to court when my son was like one-ish, and he at that point said he wasn't ready to be a father and ultimately wanted nothing to do with our child. So I was awarded 100% parental rights and visitation at my own discretion and child support. Well, last year he reached out, completely randomly on Facebook, and said that he was ready to meet our kid, and said that he turned his life around and regretted not being here every day. He spoke to our son at this point, but in the end, my son decided he wasn't ready to meet him yet. Not a big deal. He was accusing me of spending child support money on myself, despite me giving him no reason to think this. I told him to stop speaking to me like that, and he said it a few more times before I finally snapped and said, "You know what? Never mind. I'm not bringing my son to meet you when you're telling me you're taking him from me, so you're not meeting him." And I hung up. I didn't realize my son heard the whole thing. He was standing on the other side of the door and I was unaware. He's obviously on my side, but definitely a bit bummed, and just kept saying that he couldn't believe his dad dared to treat me like that, and kept saying, "Mom, I want you to know that I would always choose you, even if he brought you to court." And it was just incredibly sad. I reached out to a friend today because this is seriously mentally destroying me, because I know deep down my son still wants to meet him. And my friend basically told me that I was an idiot and I had no right to keep my kid from him. Went on to say, so what if he takes him? The cops would find him and charge him, and then your son would know what he's dealing with. But until then, stop depriving your son. So, am I the idiot? What is wrong with your friend? This man is clearly unstable and just made a credible threat that the cops would find him and charge him? Like, has your friend met any police? It could take days or weeks to find him. What if he was hiding? What if he left town? Your friend is saying it's okay to gamble your son's safety, and if he gets abducted, it'll be fine. Who cares about the harm that'll inflict on him? Not the idiot times infinity. Your friend needs to stop thinking of human lives like objects. Yeah, that's not a friend, and I'd drop them like a hot potato. She seriously said, so what if he takes away your kid? This lady's unhinged. You did the right thing. Subjecting your child to this man would not be good, especially with his current mindset. My father's best friend lost his daughter that way. The mother secretly took her away and disappeared into Canada. He tried desperately to find her, hired private investigators, the works. He finally got back in touch with his daughter when she was an adult. She reached out to him. OP, this man called your son that stupid boy. He doesn't sound like a good father or safe for your son to be around. And your son seems to agree that they shouldn't meet, even if he is sad about it. That's how some things go, but he's made his decision. He seems like a smart kid. If your ex wants to spend time with your son, let him take you back to court. He gave up custody. He has no rights to your son. I hate people who assume that the child support is spent on the parent instead of raising the child. I heard this from my ex, his mom, and the 4 wives he had. It's not cheap to care for a child, and some parents don't even get awarded enough to pay for food for a month. OP, best of luck with this situation. I hope it just ends here and doesn't escalate. But if things go further, you may want to consider a restraining order. I, 26 female, have a high school friend, Diana, 26 female, who recently got her master's degree. She lived in another city and we barely ever saw each other, and she was always too busy for long phone calls, so we only talked briefly now and then. During the time she spent on her degrees, I managed to get married and start my own family. Diana was visiting her family and we met up for lunch. I asked her about her degree, work prospects, etc. She did her master's in translation or interpreting or something like that, and she said she got the job but will have to move to Brussels. I told her that was crazy. If she can't find a job locally, then her degree's a waste of time because she has to move to another country. She said it's an amazing job opportunity that she couldn't get anywhere around here. Apparently the job is related to the EU Parliament or something. I admitted I lost her with all the abbreviations she was using. She again said that it was an amazing opportunity and she was excited. I asked her about the pay and she told me. I said that my husband earns that without a degree, so I was right about the time and money. And she said it's a starting salary and it'll grow because the first year is about training and being in a junior position. I again said that she could have gotten a similar job here, wouldn't have wasted 6 years, and could have already worked and started a family. And here's where she was rude. She said she didn't want to be as unhappy as I was and didn't want a family. Then she threw in my face that I'm always complaining about my husband, but I'm criticizing her. But he's the best husband in the world? I told her she was ridiculous and mean, and she called me an idiot, paid and left the restaurant. I told my friends about this, and they're split on who's the idiot here. So tell me, am I the idiot for telling her the truth? Maybe I could have been more chill about this. Thankfully, she's leaving the country to get away from your jealous butt, idiot. You're so clearly bitter about your friend's success and it's gross. She's proud of her accomplishments and excited about this great opportunity, as she should be. And you took every opportunity to tear her down. Getting married and starting a family isn't everyone's endgame. And if it is hers, she has plenty of time to do that and flourish in her career. She's 26. You're a mean person and a bad friend. Do better. Another I became a parent and judge my non-parent friends to make myself feel better. And it's a serious wonder why Diana didn't have the time for long phone calls with OP while she was in her master's program. Yep, small towns that can't see past the border of their own yard types are the most judgmental people in the world. Diana's life is about to soar, while OP gets nappies and snot for the next several years. I know which life I prefer. Ha ha. And she's not moving because she can't find work at home. She's moving because she's talented enough to get a job at the EU Parliament. That's impressive. OP seemingly having no idea what the EU Parliament is not so much. Slow down using abbreviations like EU and OP. You'll lose her too. Boo-hoo. OP is jealous and bitter, and she clearly wouldn't understand that graduate school can be intense. Going through grad school, I didn't have time for long phone calls and missed many social gatherings, but OP seems to think her friend was just avoiding her. Girl, you are not the main character in everyone else's life story. People have things going on that have nothing to do with you. For background, I'm a British mid-20s guy who has spent most of my life living and working in Asia. I have moved around to many countries and have worked with people of many cultures and ethnicities, so I think I'm fairly open-minded. I've been working in my current company for 3 years, and I've recently moved to another country to work in a new office. For the last 5 months, I've gotten along with my colleagues and have had no issues to date, work-wise. Recently, we had another expat join us in our office from the US, who's an early 20s female, who I'll call Eve. I had been assigned to work with and train her. Everything went well for a few weeks, and she'd been picking up everything quite quickly. So at the end of it, she brought in a cake to say thanks for training her. I told her she was learning remarkably quickly, and it was my pleasure to help her. Her face contorted as I said this, but otherwise carried on very friendly, so I dismissed her expression. The following week, I got called into an HR meeting. The gist of it was that I had a complaint that I was inappropriate to a member of the female staff in my office. When I was told this, I felt my blood drain from me, as I take work very seriously and always keep cordial but professional levels of relationships with my colleagues. They then explained that Eve had told them that I was flirting with her, and she demanded an apology from me. I am aware HR does not usually tell you the person who made the complaint, but as Eve was demanding an apology from me, they told me. I asked them to explain what I had done to cause this, and apparently, I made suggestive comments to her, and when I pushed further, apparently I had emphasized the word pleasure, and Eve thought I was trying to flirt with her. Following this, HR wanted me to apologize to Eve and take a course on interpersonal office relations and how to manage them correctly. Following the meeting, I've kept clear of Eve and don't interact with her outside of immediate job concerns. I refused HR's request, followed up with my manager, with whom I've worked for 3 years, and explained the situation. He's supporting me against the parents would have said, but it is certainly known and understood. There's nothing misogynistic about the phrase whatsoever. It just means you're happy to have done X. Her ignorance is not your problem. As an American woman and feminist, I'm embarrassed by her. Unless you licked your lips, winked at her a couple of times, and didn't break eye contact while you slowly said, pleasure, while eating a banana, there's no way that phrase is flirting. Eve needs to calm down and realize not everyone in the world wants to sleep with her. Sometimes people are just being polite. Sorry your coworker's an idiot. You have nothing to apologize for. She needs to apologize, in my opinion, for causing all this mess. I, 23 female, have been dating my fiance, 35, for 2 years. We recently got engaged, and we both agreed to be child-free. I haven't met much of his family. He claimed he didn't want to introduce me until we were serious. This weekend, he invited me to his sister's baby welcome party. She had the baby a few weeks ago, and this is a party for everyone to meet the baby. Everything was going fine, and I was getting along well with his family. All the women in the family took turns dealing with the baby when he cried. I didn't because I've never so much as held a baby and would have no idea how to calm one down. The men went outside to smoke cigars, and one of his cousins asked me why I wasn't helping with the baby, and I was honest that I had no baby experience. His mom laughed and said that I should learn now because she expected a lot of grandbabies, and she knew how badly my fiance wanted a big family. I was surprised when I told her we plan on being child-free. His mom rolled her eyes and changed the subject. I pulled my fiance aside and asked him what that was about. He said we would talk about it later, but I pressed, and he admitted I was young, and he figured I would grow out of not wanting children. I was angry, but didn't want to make a scene at his sister's party, so I told him I was going to the bathroom to cool down, but instead I walked a few blocks away, got an Uber, and went home. He blew up my phone for being rude and leaving, and how I needed to come back and apologize. He took a serious step introducing me to his family, and I blew it. I felt terrible, so I sent his sister a Facebook message, because I didn't have her number, saying I was sorry for leaving abruptly, but I felt sick and went home. She answered a few hours later, saying it was no problem and that she was happy to have met me and couldn't wait to get to know me better. This was yesterday. I texted my fiance this morning that I wanted to talk about the children issue, but he sent me one text calling me immature, and I haven't heard from him since. So now I feel like I should have just stayed and held my tongue until we left, especially since his sister was so nice. Am I the idiot for leaving the party? Not the idiot. Let me get this straight. When you were 21, you started dating a 33-year-old man, you told him you were a child-free person, and he lied to you, planning to get you to change your mind. When you discovered this lie, you left his family a vent rather than cause a scene. His response to your mature decision was to berate and belittle you, and then give you the silent treatment. Leave this man now. He is highly manipulative and cannot be trusted. I wouldn't be surprised if he sabotaged your birth control to try to trap you with an unwanted pregnancy. He's shown you who he is, someone who thought a younger woman was a nice project he could fix up to his liking. This is upsetting. He waited 2 years to introduce you to his family so you would be barely old enough that he wouldn't seem like so much of a creep to them. His mother, God bless her, warned you. They like you better than they liked him. Yep, this dude probably thinks that after knocking her up with one baby, her motherly instincts will kick in and she'll immediately want more. Honestly, I don't think a 33-year-old man who goes after a 21-year-old girl knows much about how women work. OP, be with a guy who loves you as you are, not one who plans to change you. My 19 female, 18-year-old brother is apparently a very beautiful person. He gets complimented 24/7 by all kinds of people, and everyone adores him. He's modeled and all that jazz as well. You'd think our mom would be happy or proud, but she's jealous. Yep, I don't know why considering he gets his looks from her, but she sees him as competition. I'm sure she loves him, but she sometimes acts like a bitter child. She comments about how she's skinnier and prettier and got more attention back in the day. It's bat crap insane. She copies his every move while also criticizing him all the time. My brother doesn't care and pretends she's joking around. but he started to fixate on how he looks, so it's definitely bothering him. My final straw was when my mom dragged him and herself over to me and made me rate them both out of 10. I tried ignoring her and brushing her aside, but she wouldn't let me leave and kept asking me to rate. I had it and was like, Jesus, Mom, you're a 0, and you've been a 0 the second you started acting so crazy. She went quiet and began to cry and said that I'm a horrible excuse of a daughter. She wants me to apologize and hasn't left her bedroom since. I feel guilty because my mom is a really hard-headed person and she never cries. My dad, who thinks all of this is ridiculous and fights with her because of her behavior, even thinks I was way too harsh. I'm just exhausted. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Her behavior is ridiculous and possibly harmful to your brother. And you had a point. No matter how outwardly pretty she is, acting like this makes her a 0. I would text your dad. I really think Mom needs therapy. I've been watching her get jealous and competitive with her son about his looks. You need to step in here and do something before it's too late. Agree. Dad needs to step up. She's going to ruin your brother's self-esteem over completely unnecessary competition. She's his mother but isn't acting like it. Calling you a horrible excuse for a daughter after this nonsense behavior is so narcissistic. She needs to get some therapy before she really damages your whole family. Well, I've heard it all now. A mother is jealous of her own son? What on earth? She needed a reality check. Although if she's truly a narcissist, as some have commented, then I guess a reality check isn't gonna help. She needs to have her ego stroked, and when she doesn't get it, she martyrs herself. At least your brother knows you have his back though. Don't feel guilty, and keep defending your brother.